Hello, good day. So today I want to show you the full function of the apartment or properties management software. This is the login interface for the apartment management software. So the software has three users, the administrator, the tenant, and the landlord. Okay, so the users could use their email or phone number and their password to log in into their respective portal. So I am going to log in to the admin page first and see what admin could do, you know, in his or her portal. So I am going to log into the admin page with the default password. Actually, the password could be changed from the admin profile. Okay, so when I click on sign in, the software is going to validate the login details. If the login details is correct, it's going to take us to the admin portal. Else, it's going to raise an error. Okay, so this is the admin page where admin could manage a lot of things. For example, admin could manage landlord, tenant, rent, invoiced payment, expense, and many other things. Okay, so the first thing I recommend is the basic settings. Okay, so under basic settings, when you click on basic settings, you can manage the system. So this is where you are going to set the system name, the system title, the website description, the address, the email, a lot of things, the currency. Okay, so now you can also set the, you know, email, settings. Okay, and lastly, you can set the logo, the light logo, the favicon, and others. Okay, so let's go to properties settings. Actually, before you can add properties, you have to do some basic settings on that properties, and these are the things that needs to be set. Okay, now we have the properties type, we have duplex, you set the description, so the amenities, you know, parking, garage, pool, and others. Okay, then the utilities, okay, and the units type. So the units type is talking about, you know, the apartment type. Is it single, room apartment? Is it two-bedroom flat apartment? Is it, three-bedroom flat apartment? So this is where you are going to set the apartment types or unit type. Okay, so when I mention units, I simply mean apartment. Okay, so let's go to lease settings. Okay, or rent settings. Okay, so you can set the rent here. We have the commercial or residential. Okay, so the commercial is for business, the residential is where you stay, okay, where you actually live. Okay, so let's go to tenant settings. So under tenant settings, we have, is it this tenant, is it for a business tenant or an individual? Okay, so and lastly, we go to email settings. So this is where we are going to talk about the main function or using SMTP, because when you have a properties, when you approve properties, when you anything you do or everything that you do, we have an email, okay, notification for that. And this is where you are going to select the means through which you want to send an email notification. Okay, and that is all about basic settings. This guy here is an essential part of the software because you need to set your logo, property settings, lease, tenant, and others. Okay, so let's now go to the landlord. Okay, so the landlord tab, allows us to manage landlords. Okay, and of course, I am going to start with the add button. So this add button helps us to, add new landlord, okay, to enroll new landlord. So the first name, the middle name, and the last name, the phone, the email, the registration date, the country of the landlord. Okay, so when you pick the country, it automatically displays the state and the city. Okay, then the physical address of the landlord, the postal address, and the password. Because a landlord, you know, has their own portal. Okay, so we need the email and the password also. Okay, so now I have added a landlord, and this icon represents something. So when you see these icons here, okay, or this button, it actually means something. So when you see this button, it means edit. It means you want to edit this landlord. When you see this button, it means that you want to print the landlord. And this last button means that you want to delete the landlord. Okay, so when you click on this, you can edit. When you click on this, you can print. Okay, so let's go to prop text, because you need to add landlord before adding prop text. Okay, so I am going to click on this add button to see what we have there. Okay, we have the property information. Okay, so what is the property name? You type it here. So this is going to generate property code automatically, and of course you cannot change this. Okay, it keeps changing. So different properties with different codes. Okay, so the amenities, don't forget that under basic settings, under property, let me click on this guy again. We have the amenities, we have the parking, we have the garage. So when you want to add new properties, of course it's going to ask you that what are the amenities that you have earlier added under property settings. Okay, so you click on this two guy, because this is two information that we have under amenities. Okay, so you need to pick the landlord. We have added landlord here. So you need to pick the landlord here. Then you need to pick the property type. Don't forget that we have added all this guy here. Okay, so the duplex, the property location, then the property country, the full country, the state. You can be in Canada and have a properties in UK. Okay, so you need to select the country of that properties also. Okay, then if you have an image to showcase for the tenant or to the tenant, okay, you can add as many images as possible here. Then when you are done, you click on save, and of course it's going to automatically add display the properties that you have added. Okay, so this tab is very essential. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the icon, the buttons. This guy means edit here, this guy means add, this button means print, this button means delete, and this button means add apartment. So when you see units, it means an apartment. Okay, so automatically when you add a new properties, it's going to display you know information about the properties. And for example, let's quickly add new property. So I'm going to call it new property. Okay, so I'm going to pick this. This is the only landlord that I have. So I want to pick, another country. Okay, so let's say Nigeria. Okay, so I am going to click on save. Okay, so let's do that. So let's add new properties. Okay, now I'm going to say new you know properties, and of course I am going to pick the amenities. Okay, the landlord, the properties location. So let's say, okay, let's pick the country first. All right, All right, so I'm gonna call it, Bulgaria. Okay, so we don't have image. If we have an image, I am gonna select the image here. Okay, so let's click on save and let's see what happens. Okay, beautiful. So added successfully. So this is the new, properties that we have just added now. Okay, so this property has no unit. It means we have not added an apartment to this property. So I am going to click on this add apartment or add unit. So the name of the property is there, new property. Okay, so now I want to say flat A, that is the unit. Okay, what's the amount, rent amount? I'm going to call it like 300K. Okay, first floor. Okay, number of bedrooms, I'm going to say three, and number of bedroom for total rooms, let's say, 3 square foot, the dimension, the commission, I'm going to select maybe 13% in percentage, or let me pick 10% of this, actually let me choose 350K. Okay, so the 10% of 350K. Okay, so if you have an information that you want to give, you can specify that here. Okay, now you can determine the extra charges. Okay, so the tenant will pay the extra charges. Okay, so if there is any, you can actually, let's just type something here. I'm going to say maybe extra charge name, maybe 500 bucks, then extra charge name, maybe two, let's say, 400 bucks. Okay, now let's come to late fee. Okay, so you say this late fee is not going to be applied to the agent when you are, giving out the apartment for the first time. Okay, so it is when you want to generate an invoice a for a tenant. That is when you can decide to choose if this late fee is going to be applicable. Okay, so okay, let's just type something here. Let's say maybe late fee name, maybe 5K. All right. Then description. Then the utilities. Maybe you want your tenant to also pay for the utilities. Okay. Like maybe water bills. So I'm gonna call that 500 bucks. Then let's say water usage. So you can add as many, you know, utilities. So let me say 500K and electricity usage description. So when we are done, I'm going to click on save. Actually, we need to pick the 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 apartment unit mode. Is it residential or business? Don't forget that we have added that under basic settings. Okay, so the unit type, is it single room, is it 3 bedroom flat, is it 2 bedroom, and others based on what you said under basic settings. Okay, so I am going to click on save button now. Okay, beautiful. So if I come down here, this is the new prop things that we have here, and this is the apartment, the unit. So total unit is one, and the name is flat A, and of course it's available because we have not, it has not been rented or leased out to the tenant. Okay, so you can equally edit by clicking on that button. So these are the information that we selected. You can click on back. Okay, so now this is the print. You can decide to print the apartment information. So the property name, new apartment, the landlord, full name. This is the apartment mode, residential apartment type, 2 bedroom. Name is flat A. The apartment rent amount is 350K, floor one, and this is the brief summary. Okay, so we have subtotal, that is 350K for the normal apartment rent. Agent commission is 10%. So what's the 10% of the 350K is 35K. Okay, the total that the tenant is going to pay, let's say that's three 85K, okay, including the agent commission fee. Now let's now come down to extra charges based on what we have selected when we are adding apartment or unit. Okay, so we pick 500, 400, and the total is 900. So the extra fee charges, okay, I told you when you are renting the apartment for the first time, this late fee is not going to be applied, okay, and of course it's going to be applied for subsequent payment. Okay, now we pick just 5K, and this is the total 5K. So let's come down to utilities. Okay, we have 500, we have 5,000, that is 5,500. So we now have the full summary down here. Okay, that we have the units total 385K. This is what I'm talking about here. When you come down here, we have extra total and extra charges. That is 900, late fee 5,000, and okay, and utilities we have 5,500. This is it, 5,500. Okay, then everything is 396,400 when you have everything together. Okay, and of course we have a beautiful print option. Okay, this is when you want to print it out. This is it. I'm going to click on cancel. Okay, so now let's go back to this properties because we need to discuss about these properties page is very essential for us to understand. Then you can also delete. We have talked about edit, print, and delete. So this information is meant for this guy here is for apartment. So when you want to talk about you want to this is a deed for properties. This is a deed for apartment. This is print for the properties. This is print for apartment or unit. So this is delete for unit and this is delete for the all properties. Okay. So if you click on print for the apartment, so we have a beautiful template for that. So this is the apartment information and this is the property unit, just one. Okay, the 35K box. Okay, now we have the rent total 350. Just this is the normal calculation that we earlier did. So here the agent income is 335,000. Okay, so let me pick the one with more you know apartment like this information here. We have total units too, then flat A and flat B. So you can edit individually, you can print individually, and you can also delete. So I want to print, because this is a property action, unit action. So when I click on print, this print is going to, contain all the information of the properties and also the information of the apartment. So I'm going to click on this, print bodies. Okay, now we have two units. The first one is business, the second one is residential. So this one is maybe you have an apartment, and of course that apartment has about 10 flats. So you can decide to say flat A, flat B, flat C, flat D, or flat 1, flat 2, flat 3, depending on what you want to, call it. Okay, so now under these properties, we have just two flat because we have added just two units. Okay, so flat A and flat B. So the amount is for flat A is 25K. The amount for flat B is 3,000. Okay, and these are the information. So we need to calculate the total, information. So for flat A, we have for the agent commission is 3% of 25, that is 750. So for flat B, 3,000, and the agent commission is 2%. So that 2% of 3,000 is 60. Okay, so the total landlord income, annual income or monthly income, depending on the payment, with the payments method. Of course, we are still going to get there when we want to discuss about rent. Okay, now the landlord income is 28,000, and the agent income is what? 810. Okay, all right. So when you, this is 750 plus 60, that is 8 times. So 25 plus 30, that is 28,000. Okay, so that is about the properties and the apartment. Okay, so let's now talk about tenant. So tenant is, you know, the people that we, rent, that the apartment will be rented to or leased to. Okay, so you can add new tenant. Is it an individual tenant? Don't forget we talk about tenant settings, so or business tenant. So you talk about the middle name, first name, last name, and all that, the country of that tenant also. So when you add new tenant, this is where you are going to edit, print, and delete tenant. So let's go to rent, because that guide too is really important. Okay, so now under rent, we you can add new rent, and of course that is what we are going to do. So you have to pick the property first. I'm going to pick this new property because this is the one that we have just added now. Click on new property, automatically it's going to display all the apartment under this property. So I'm going to pick flat A. When you pick flat A, it's going to display the summary for you automatically. For example, if I pick this property, if I click on flat A, can you see that it's changing? If I click on flat B, so this is the flat B information. So let me click on new property, then flat A. Okay, so now let's quickly discuss about it. The basic, apartment or rent amount is 350. The extra charges, that is 900. Then utilities charges, that is 5,500. You still remember? Then agent commission is 10%. Then total is 396,400. Now, because this is the first time that we want to rent out the apartment to the tenant, we need to subtract the late fee. This is a late fee for late payment. That is 5,000. So I need to subtract, all this guy. I need to subtract late fee there. Okay, so it's gonna be 3,900 and 400. So this is the amount grand total that the agent is going to pay. Okay, so let's quickly pick the tenant. I want to pick Shagun. Okay, then commercial lease type, is it commercial or residential? Don't forget that we have it under lease settings. Okay, so payment type, is it in advance or in arrears? Okay, in arrears means that it is after you have, used the apartment, that is when you now pay. Like in my country, you have to pay before you use the apartment. Okay, so it's always in advance. Okay, the billing period, is it weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly? Okay, so the tenant status, is it an active tenant or overdue? Of course, I'm going to pick an active tenant. So I want the apartment to start from today, and of course, 16, because my is yearly, I'm going to pick 2023. Okay, now after this due date, how many grace period do you want to apply? We have up to 100 days here. I can decide to pick 10 days. Okay. Then method of payment is cash. Now we have now. Then the payment status. Okay. So this payment status is going to automatically create an invoice. If it is paid, it's going to go to payment history for that tenant. If it is unpaid, it means that it's going to be, it's going to create an invoice for that tenant automatically. Okay, so let us assume that I have collected the money, is paid, okay, because we pick cash here. Then grace period. Now I'm going to click on save. Let's see what happens. Okay, beautiful. So this is the rent amount. Have you seen it? 309, 1,400, because we have removed late payment. Okay, so, and of course there is running because today's date is 16, and of course it's going to expire by 2023. So automatically, if today's date is greater than the due date, then of course that means the is now due. It's not going to run anymore. Okay, you can equally edit, print, and delete. Don't forget that when you want to add new rent, you won't be able to edit tenant, apartment, or units, property, and payment status. So let's give it a try. If I click on edit, you won't be able to see. Okay, locked. Have you seen it? You won't be able to edit the property name, property apartment, tenant's name, and all that, but you can extend the due date. This is the grace period. So let's click on back. Now let's see the print. Let's see the print, option. Of course, there is a countdown, tenant expiration date. We have 52 weeks. Okay, so grace period 10, method of payment cash, due date, start date, payment in advance, the information, and the countdown is always there. If you click on print, it's going to give you a very beautiful, print option. So let's click on cancel. So that is about the rent. So I'm going to quickly jump to, this invoice is all about the expense, the amount spending. Okay, so I'm going to jump by to an invoice. So this is where that I need to quickly explain few things. Okay, so now we have, if you want to create an invoice, please note that you cannot create an invoice. If I go back to properties, excuse me, let's go back to properties. Now let's come down. We have assigned this department to a tenant, okay, under rent here. So automatically the property status, the apartment status is going to be, is has changed to occupied. Flat A is occupied. All right. And you cannot delete an apartment where the something is being occupied. You can't see. Can you see the delete button is not there? And for this apartment, you can't delete it. You can edit, you can print, but you cannot delete because this flat already occupied by someone. Although you can make available, but I'm not going to do that now. Okay, so that is the few things I quickly want to tell you. So let's go back to an invoice. So if I come down here, click here, maybe you want to create an invoice. Maybe the rent expires, okay, and you want to create new invoice for that tenant. So you pick the apartment first, then the property first, the apartment. We have flat A. You won't be able, you will see that this flat A is occupied by, this is the tenant's name, okay? All right. Now, let's pick another properties. Okay, let's pick another property. You won't see it because though we have an apartment under this properties, but you won't be able to create an invoice because it has not been occupied. It's still available, so you can create an invoice for an apartment that is available. Okay, like now, let's go back to this apartment. Properties. We have, this is the apartment. We have flat A, flat B, but it's available. So it has not been rented out. Once it has been rented out, it's going to change to an occupied. Okay, so let's go back to an invoice. Okay, you cannot create an invoice for an apartment that is available. You can only create an invoice for an apartment that has been occupied by a tenant. Okay, so I am going to pick this new property. Can you see? You can pick it because it has been occupied. Okay, beautiful. But this is the most interesting aspect. Don't forget, when we are adding this apartment, this unit, we talk about late fee. Late fee. You remember that? Okay, so now this is the normal amount the user is going to pay. So if you want to include the late fee, I'm going to select the box. So it's going to be 361,400. But if I don't want to include the late fee, I'm going to uncheck it. So it's going to, you know, display the normal rate for me. Okay, have you seen it? This is a normal rate. Then you can now pick the tenant that you want to create an invoice for. So when you create, another security aspect of this guy is that there is no, this guy here has no apartment. You have not rented an apartment to this guy, so you won't be able to proceed. If you click on save, it's going to raise an error. Okay, if you click this guy also, you won't be able to proceed. But if you click on this name, don't forget that flat A is occupied by this tenant. If you pick it, it's going to get to the rent code. Then you can now type the invoice title, invoice description, the method of payment, cash, then the rent due date. Now, this is a subsequent invoice. Okay, so it's gonna be, when you pick on it, click here. Maybe it was 2023. By the time you want to create an invoice for that tenant, it will have been 2023, because you can't create another new invoice, okay, while the due has not, elapsed. So you pick 2024 or so. Then status, is it paid and unpaid? If it is paid, it's going to automatically go to payment. But if it is unpaid, it's going to stay here. So I'm going to extend to 2000. Let me just pick number 2023, and of course I want to include this. It's payment by cash. Of course, you will have collected this amount from your tenant. Then let's say invoice for your property. Okay, then let me copy this guy and paste it. Okay, then that's all. I want to click on save. Let's see what happens. Okay, beautiful. I selected an unpaid invoice. Okay, so this is it. This is 361. Then have you paid? No. Then this is the day, okay, that you created, the invoice. Okay, so the payment status is unpaid. So now I need to discuss few things here. Now this icon means a date. Have you seen it? This button means take payment. You won't accept payment manually. This means print. This means delete. If I click on print, you are going to see a beautiful invoice. Okay, you can equally print. All right, have you seen it? Okay, so I'm going to click on cancel, close. So let's accept payment. So maybe that payment is paying, instrumentally. There is room for that. So I'm going to click on, take payment. So this is a tenant's name, rent, this and this. Okay, so now you cannot edit the total amount. You cannot edit the amount you have paid, which is a zero. So this is the remaining balance is this. Then how much you want to pay now? So let's say I want to pay 20K first. Okay, the payment is cash. So I'm going to click on accept payment. Okay, now have you seen it? Now you have paid 20K. You have paid 20K, and the total due is still 361. But when you click here again, click on accept payment. So you have paid 20K. So this is the remaining balance. If you type something that is greater than this remaining balance, it's going to raise an error that no, this is the amount that you need to pay. You can't pay higher than the remaining balance. Okay, so if I copy this guy here and paste it, okay, so once I click on accept payment, it means you won't see anything on that invoice, because automatically the tenant already cleared his or her invoice. So everything is going to bounce to the payment option. Okay, have you seen it? So this is the first payment, 20K, and this is the second payment, 341, and this is the first payment that the reason this is 390, because the reason this is 391 is that, and this is 391. Let me explain something. They're the same apartment, but the first one is 391, while the second one is not up to 391. The reason is that, let me click on view invoice. This one is 361, the total amount you paid, while this one is 391, the same apartment. The reason is that when you are paying for the first time, don't forget that agent commission is applicable, is applied. Yes, you apply the agent commission, but the subsequent payment, agent won't, take additional commission. Okay, the commission is once. So this is the total rent, 361 plus the agent commission. That is what makes it 391 for the first payment. But subsequent payment, there won't be agent commission. So you'll be paying 361, the normal rent. So let's quickly go back to our properties. Okay, I want to show you something. So now let's click on this print button. Okay, so now let's come down here. All right, so excluding, okay, excluding, okay, this is basically 351, but when you add all the utilities, everything, that is 396. So I think there's a place that we discussed about. Okay, let's go to rent. Let me see. We discussed about, okay, let's go back to properties. Sorry, guys. So I want to click on this full property so that we can view everything. Okay, so the agent is 35, so 35K, then 10%. So we have not added all the late fee here. So this is where we discussed about it. So, but what I'm saying is that the agent commission is once, okay, and if I click here, the amount is 350. The agent, let's go back to the summary. Okay, so okay, it's okay, guys, I'm coming. Let's go back to this invoice. This is where we are going to talk about it very well. So now we have, if I have a property here, click here, this is a late fee. This is a 335,000, but the late, property utilities, electricity bills, is 6,400. Okay, so, but there's a, okay, let's go back to rent. There's a place we talks about the full summary. So now you won't be able to rent out this apartment because it's running. Okay, this is the apartment here. It's running already. It's occupied already. Okay, so that's beautiful things I want to show you. So let's click another apartment, flat A. Okay, this is where I'm talking about. Okay, so now you see, this is a late excluding late fee. But when you are paying for the first time, it's going to include agent commission. But when you are subsequent payment is, you are just going to pay for the units, extra charges, then you know units, utilities total, okay, and this is the grand total excluding late fee. But when you want to create new invoice, okay, when you want to create new invoice, then all right, so that late fee is going to come up here. Okay, I included late fee. That is what makes 361 under payment. Okay, so now the first one, including commission, everything, but excluding late fee, makes it 391. But here I am including late fee but excluding agent commission, so 361. So normally it could be three, it may not be up to 361 when you are creating an invoice, depending on the options that you have selected. Okay, so it should be 3,000, 35,006. This is 35,006. What's this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 356,400 or 361,000. It's depending on the option. If you want to include late fee or you are not including late fee. Okay, so that is about the brief information about the administrator. Okay, this is the vacate notice. Maybe you want to create a notice for some your agent, like this guy now. You can create a vacate notice for you know tenant that has not been that an apartment has not been rented to. So you won't be able to proceed. You won't until you pick the agent with running, apartment or due, but it has an apartment has been rented out too. Okay, this is a rent code. Okay, now you cannot create an vacant notice for that tenant. So lastly, let's talk about you know language translation. You can add you know, other language here, or you can also translate. We have a beautiful translation page. So this is 1, 2, 3. So you can change to, your preferred English times. For example, let me click on this guy. I want to type Arabic. So I want to create another language. Let's call it Arabic. Okay. So this is the Arabic. So I'm going to click on translate. Let's see what happens. Okay, you can now change this guy to maybe I think I have. Oh, I don't have it on the system. Okay, Arabic, translator. I don't have it. So you translate this to Arabic, translate this to Arabic, translate this to Arabic. So once you translate, you click on this save button. All right. Once you translate, you click on save button. Okay. So lastly here, let's talk about manage profile. Okay. So this is me, your software developer. Then you can change your name here, change admin, email and all that. Okay, then log out. Beautiful. So that is about the administrator. So I don't know, maybe I should just stop the video and discuss about agent. Then without talk about landlord. Okay, it's very simple. Let me quickly log into the landlord portal. Nothing much there, just to view your apartment, view the invoice, view few things here. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly write it up. Okay, now this is the landlord portal, landlord dashboard. You can view your properties. You have three properties, just single rent, no vacate notice for your tenant, then single tenant, because you have three properties but only one tenant already, you know, you know, pick your properties. One of your properties has just been rented out to a single tenant. Okay, so you can view the brief information about the your dashboard. Then your properties, you can view your properties. Once you view your properties, it's just that you won't be able to edit or delete, but you can view everything. You can print. Like now, this is approved. Only this is available. These are the properties that are available, and this one is occupied. Just like in the admin, you can view everything. Everything is transparent. You can equally print to see agent commission, to see everything. Okay, no eating. Okay, because landlords needs to view the properties, and the full everything should be transparent. Okay, so you can view your tenant. Yeah, you can view your tenant. Okay, you can view the rent. Okay, you can view invoice, can view payment. Okay, this is still running too. Have you seen it? 391, everything's still running. Okay, you can view the invoice too. All right, then you can equally see vacant notice. That's all. So let me click on, then let's go to, all right, pick the tenants there. Let's see what happens in the tenant page. All right, so this is a tenant page. So total invoice, no invoice for you. Three payment good, no vacant notice. And this is the sum of all your invoices. So you can pick the rent. Yeah, your rent is still running. Go to properties. So You currently occupied flat A of this new property. You can print to see the summary of the payment that you made. Then you can go to invoice, no invoice for you, go to payment. Now, these are the free payment for you. You can't do more than just to view the invoice. Okay, then vacate notice, no vacate notice, then let's log out. So congratulations, we've been able to discuss about apartment software. Food is a scarce software online, and if you want to develop an apartment software, these are the basic things that it must entails. Aside from, you want to add payment gateway like Stripe, PayPal, you know, you know, Paytm and Flutterwave, Paystack, and many others. Okay, so that is about the apartment software. So I'm so happy for that you have listening. So thank you. Bye, guys.